I realized that. I was like, man, what the fuck are you doing this for then? Like, what if you can't enjoy this? If you're up there on stage at Enmore Theatre, which has been your dream since you were 11 years old, and the whole time you're in a state of deep anxiety, wondering if how it's going to be received, what it's going to mean for your career progression, how the footage is going to come out, all of this. Like, if you're constantly worried about tomorrow, how could you possibly enjoy today?
Welcome to the Funny in Failure podcast, a podcast that celebrates failure and shines the light on the emotional side of comedy and life with yours truly, Michael Kahan. Howdy, howdy, howdy. Today's chat is great. We go deep and it's also playful. The best of both worlds. Anthony has done and continues to do a lot of work on himself, which is epic. Hearing him talk about the shifts in his life, plus the experiences from doing a 10-day silent retreat is crazy and also incredible to hear. There are so many insights and deep reflections in this one. It's quite moving. Anthony's also thoughtful and thought-provoking. I love this chat and I think you will too. Anthony will also be at the Melbourne Comedy Festival and the Sydney Comedy Festival, plus around Europe and America hopefully soon. If you'd like to check his shows out, check it out in the episode notes below. Okay, cool. Let's get into it. Anthony Locascio is a stand-up comedian, actor, and podcaster. Since beginning stand-up in 2017, he has written and toured a new full-length show every year, with highlights including Don't Call Me a Wog, Heart of Darkness, and the critically acclaimed Papu. Papu toured twice around Australia and internationally to London, New Zealand, Canada, and New York before being filmed at a sold-out Enmore Theatre and released on YouTube in 2025. His debut special, Confirmation, was distributed worldwide by Comedy Dynamics on Amazon Prime and Apple TV. He's had sold-out seasons at Sydney Comedy Festival, Melbourne International Comedy Festival, Adelaide Fringe, Perth Comedy Festival, and Brisbane Comedy Festival, and was handpicked for the prestigious Sydney and Perth Comedy Festival Gala showcases in 2021 and 2022. Alongside his live work, he's also appeared on Triple J's Hack, SBS Sport, beIN Sports, Today Extra on Channel 9, and Sunrise on Channel 7, and he's also performed or hosted major events, including the Greek Festival of Sydney and the Italian National Ball. In 2025, he also curated and hosted the inaugural Greek Australian Comedy Gala and the Italian Australian Comedy Gala. His mission is to challenge clichés around WOG comedy, representing his Greek and Italian heritage with a modern, nuanced voice that resonates far beyond those communities. So as you can imagine, we dive deep and we cover a lot, and we chat about acting, 10-day silent retreats, and the experiences from that, radical honesty and accountability, his love of musicals, integrity, pain, misery, honesty and suffering, acceptance, big mindset and mental shifts, love of musicals, his comedy show, plus plenty more. Before we get into this epic chat, I'd love it if you would share the podcast, like, comment, and subscribe. It really helps the podcast grow and ensures I can lock in amazing guests like this one. Okay, cool. Thanks so much. Let's get into it. I saw on your Instagram story that you're in a short film. I think it's called Charlie's Short Film, something like that. That looked pretty cool. How did you get involved in that? And is acting, do you have more aspirations for that now?
Fuck no, man. No, I hate it. It's so shit. And I'll tell you why in a moment. I love the opportunity to do it was awesome. Came about in a really cool way. It's this guy who's he has been working in film. You know, that's his shtick. He's been the sort of he's worked his way up from the coffee guy on the set to the PA, and he's kind of doing that trajectory on he was on Street Fighter and a bunch of different things when they were filming in Australia. I know him sort of familiarly. He's family friends with some mates of mine, so I'd seen him around, and then randomly we started going to the gym together, and we kind of developed rapport going to the gym. And he tells me that he's in this writers group for screenplays. At the time, I think I was trying to put together a screenplay. So I said to him, man, if you ever want kind of writing someone to bounce off. Let's get a coffee and chat about it. He was keen. We went and had coffee. He ran me through the script. I gave him some notes and some thoughts. And then at the end of it, he's like, "You want to play the lead?" And I was like, "Yeah,
Wow.
why not?" It sort of demographically fit. It was like a Greek Australian guy kind of juggling that identity with potentially being an artist and different things, and so it kind of rung true. And the character that I was playing in the film, his brother just died, and I've just had the toughest year of my life, so I was method acting the shit out of that, man. I was like Daniel Day Locascio throughout that whole process. I'll see you at the Oscars, brother. Um, but in terms of acting, like I have no experience of stage acting, as in beyond stand up, which I don't think counts. And that's something that does interest me. It is a sort of private and about to become less private dream of mine to be in a musical at some point.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, I'm a sucker for musicals. But in terms of screen acting, man, you're a prop. You're just a animate prop. You when they hit cut, you might get a note, and then you're just sitting there, just gathering dust as the camera nerds do their little configuration shit, and the people with the tape, and it's like, yep, and it's like
an angle, all of them.
yeah, and your humanity just gets drained as the moments tick down, and you're like, okay. I just mined the very core of my psyche for you guys to film and then say, "Oh shit, no, we had a tree. We got to do it again." And no one's gonna be like, "You're right, dude." Nah, fuck it, man. I hate it.
They see you like breaking down and they're like, let's try the third angle. I've
Yeah,
literally seen that so many times. I've
yeah.
done outside of like comedy skits, I've been an extra a few times. And you see this guy give this raw performance. I don't know if I can talk about this, but this is a flex that doesn't deserve a flex. Like Michael Shannon and the guy that just played Superman, David Corenswet, they filmed here and I was an extra in one of the scenes. And you just see like David give a bit of a performance and then they're just like, okay, this angle is off. And then he just has to do the same thing 30 times, 30 different angles. Like, no, you go there, you scream there. And it was just, I was like, I don't know how you do it. And then they're like, go to your trailer. And then you get back like, oh, we forgot this one bit. It pretty much, you would have done like 20,000 steps just going from start to stop. It was quite brutal.
It is, but that's their game, right? That's what they do. That they're just like automatons of channel emotion, come back, channel emotion. It's quite genuinely the opposite of stand up in so many ways. Like the notion of being present for a specific moment that just elapses, and then we've shared this moment together as an audience performer. That's not happening at all in acting. It's the opposite. It's we're gonna fabricate that moment sans audience again and again and again until we get it perfect, and then we're gonna supercut all of the best facial expressions that you did across those 30 cuts and make it look like you nailed it in one. It's
Exactly.
just it's one of the most dehumanizing things I've ever done. I loved it. Don't get me wrong. And the film has not come out yet, and I'm sure it's going to be great. This guy Michael Karajanakis, who is my mate who put it all together. He wrote a really cool script, and the crew, everyone that was involved, were wonderful. It was such a cool thing to be a part of, and to do for the first time. And he shelled out his own money to get like really sort of top tier production values across the board. And even just looking at some of the stills and some of the like raw footage that we were capturing, it's just really, really great. Everybody that was involved, super professional and super great. It was really cool to be a part of. It's just that thing within the little egotistical boy within me that does stand up to be like, hey, I'm everybody needs to, I'm the thing. That wasn't available during the filming. It was way more collaborative, and I'm just not accustomed to that.
Interesting, because that, a lot of people do stand up, even though there's people on the bill, and you're like, and now introducing the next guy is amazing. That's as far the collaboration goes. But now that you're also doing more writing, how do you find the collaboration there? Or is it more from a notes perspective?
No, I loved that part. Probably possibly more than the actual acting of it. When me and Michael got together and kicked around ideas sort of incrementally over the months before filming, and that part, the creative collaborative process from a writing perspective, I think is really uh, my frequency. I love it.
Ooh.
Yeah, I find it really on a yeah it generates something else in me that I'm not used to with stand up, because stand up is like any art form. The guardrails are the beauty of it, the limitations of it are what makes it so challenging and so gratifying. But when you can put things to screen and you don't have to be getting a laugh every fucking 25 seconds, the like the ability that you have to stretch yourself creatively is like something that I haven't experienced before. I fuck. I contributed some pretty cool things to the film,
Nice.
in terms of like scene wise. That afterwards I was thinking like, man, I don't know how you thought of that, but that's pretty cool. And like, you might have a bit of an aptitude for this kind of writing that you might want to explore at some point in the future.
That is so exciting. I do screenwriting. I've written quite a
Mm.
few scripts. I've said this on every podcast. Everyone hates me for saying this, but just to catch you up to what's the word? I can't even think. But I got offered a TV developmental deal in LA. I was going to move to LA and have my own, potentially have my own TV show. And there's something about they weren't going to offer this to me, which it was doomed to fail.
Mm.
They weren't, they're like, you just write from home and then you can maybe Zoom with everyone. And they kept on changing because I said writer's room's the most important thing for me, writing with great people as you've experienced. And we were potentially not going to do it. I was just going to write by myself. I'm like, no, I don't want to do that. And the most amount of fun and creative, I don't know what the like creative juice I've ever had is when I get my mates, they read my scripts. They can't act at all. They don't have any context for my scripts. And I get them to read it and they will all laugh or they might not get it. And that's so much fun. It's probably given me the most energy of anything I've ever done. It's just like reading and doing screenplays. I know how nerdy that sounds, but it sounds like you've had a bit of that as well.
Not nerdy at all, man. Like, I mean, first of all, I want to find out what happened. Like, how come? What did you go to LA? What happened in the end? When was this? What? How did it all go down?
It went down so badly. Best experience of my life. I don't even know. One day I'll tell the story because I've documented all the points because it was like 6, 8 months. I won a writing award. Some bits I don't want to say because I don't want to get back to other people. It was a big actor in LA with the team. And essentially, I got a lawyer. How do I say this? I had to get a lawyer in LA because no lawyer here can really deal with that level of like complexity of what it would entail. But essentially, they offered one thing, and then on the contract would say something else, and then this kept on happening. They'd do changes and would add things in the fine print. I don't care about money in the sense. I just need enough to live. If I can get my own script and it can get made, and I get a whole season, that's like I'll be so happy. I think they took out that it would be created by, which is the number one asset. Like that's what you want when you've written a show. Simpsons, Matt Groening, he created, even though he's not involved, I think, at all. They took out that I might not even be a writer. They took out all of these things. And essentially our lawyers said that there's about 20 red flags. And if there's one red flag, you can't go ahead. Then we saw, I don't know if this is true, Tim Minchin. I heard a story where he's about to sign like $1 million contract. People, please fact check this. I brought this up before. And they went out to celebrate with his agent or manager, and the agent or manager was so rude to the waiter. He's like, I can't work with this person because they were so unbelievably rude. We got to experience that quite a few times, and we're like, this is not who we want to be working with. But it was great. I'm not saying that because I didn't lose the opportunity. I can still get it. It was a great experience in dealing with, let's say, less than great people and learning about contracts and what's normal, what's not normal. And it gave me a knowing or clarity inside that I can actually write. Because before I thought it was delusional, and now I actually know I can actually do this. Yeah, I throw in a.
It sounds like you extracted the best thing from the whole experience, to be honest, because there's something to be said about, because I feel the same way as you do about all of it, about the whole thing. It's like, if I can eat and I can live my dream, done.
Yeah.
Like, don't need anything else.
No, I still want to be rich. Sorry for interjecting. I'm just saying start, I'm just saying, because I was going to move to America and stuff, I think they were going to give me like $1,000 and be home for like 6 years. I'm like, I don't know who you think I am.
No.
But anyway, I get what you're saying.
That goes without saying. We, of course, we want to be rich, but as a very baseline for survival, right? Like, it's okay to be there, right? For as long as it takes to find the way to get rich, right? But there's something to be said for like, and I don't know, is the Tim Minchin story a deal that was happening in America? Because he was in America for a little while. Or is that the UK?
I honestly have no idea. I don't even know if this story's true. I think I heard it through someone. No, I have heard a snippet. But the idea is still a great story, in that the agent or manager was promising the world, and then you realize who you're actually dealing with when they're like borderline narcissistic, abusive, and just a rude person. Because that's probably going to trickle down into your relationship. And then if you're not potentially doing what they want, they're going to be abusive too. You don't want to be in these relationships.
No doubt about it. And then once you allow yourself to compromise your integrity to, if this person's going to do all these things for me, I'm willing to let this slide. Well, then it's a slippery slope to other things that you may or may not let slide for your 100%. Career to progress. And, then you don't know what Harvey's going to ask for. So like,
not wrong. But that's really interesting. You say the word integrity. For me now, that's my number one value. That's what I look for straight away. I wonder if it sounds like you've got quite a deep feeling of this word integrity. Is it something you think about at all?
Yeah. Probably more so than most these days. I've been through a relatively rough time over the last year and a bit, and when you, as a younger person, I think the propensity to go through rough times and then look externally and find places to put your negative emotions, find people to blame, is the sort of the go-to defense mechanism. But I'm kind of a bit beyond that now, and just radical accountability is the only way to get through this sort of stuff. It doesn't matter what anybody else has done to you, for you, in spite of you, whatever. You can only control what your contribution to the situation was and will be going forward, and you can only grow through that. And the best way to understand what it is that you did to contribute to a situation that you don't want to be in, and how do I repurpose that action with more integrity in the future? And integrity is the exact place to focus. It's not about, it's not about being nicer or about being kinder or more. Like, it's purely is the version of me that's leaving this earth going to be proud of that action or words sequence that I took. Does that make sense?
Yes, very much so. You're speaking my language. I'm sorry that you went through a difficult time, but I'm glad that it sounds like you're getting on the other end as well. Radical accountability. That's probably, by the way, I love that term. But most people, including me, we love to blame other people, and we can, sometimes the expression, it takes two to tango. A lot of people go, this person did this, or the weather, blah, 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 blah. And they can give all of their focus towards something else. But as you kind of alluded to, that, it's all internal. How can we move forward? How can we deal with it? So what has made you look deep within yourself? Because that's super scary. That's really hard. A lot of us, when something goes wrong, we sweep it under the rug and we can just run the other way. Can you tell me a bit more if you want to?
Yeah, I would love to, because it plays perfectly into my plugging for my festival show. So it works. I went to a Vipassana meditation course. Do you know anything about this?
Yes, I meditate. I've been doing it for years, and you did a 10-day silent retreat, I believe.
Yeah,
super excited to hear about it.
So I'm always reticent to refer to it as a retreat, as I'll indicate to you when I tell you about it, because the word retreat, I think, insinuates a little bit of kind of like It was chill. Like, it was real. It's fucking not at all. It's the craziest thing. They call it a course, and I call it a course too, because you live like a monk for it's 12 days total that you're there for. It's 10 days straight of the course itself, because you arrive on day 0, you leave on day 11. And the meditation technique is called Vipassana. It's a very specialized meditation technique, and the sort of bumper sticker for it is that it eradicates misery.
Well, sorry, from the screenwriting perspective, that's a great log line, but continue.
Yeah, right. Yep. Yeah, no, they know what they're doing from a marketing perspective. Those Buddhists, they're knocking it out of the park. Yeah. So I didn't actually do too much research before going to it. I was just, I was having a tough time, and it was suggested to me by somebody, and, call it an act of divine whatever. But, when the person mentioned it to me, it's like, I didn't even think about it. My hand just moved to my phone, looked it up, booked it sort of almost instinctively. And I arrive, it's in the Blue Mountains. It's, I went in the last few days of August last year. So it's the dead of winter. It's minus 6-7 degrees when I arrived, just pissing down rain, dreary, horrible conditions. They take your phone immediately. You are not allowed a pen and paper to write anything down the whole time. You are not allowed. You're not allowed to talk to anybody. You're not allowed to make eye contact with anybody. You're not allowed to gesture towards anybody. You get 2 meals a day only. All of the food is vegetarian. They wake you up at 4 a.m. every day with a gong, and you meditate in this meditation hall in increments of 3 hours, with the meal breaks being your sort of only reprieve. And you're meditating for, depending on how hard you go, at least between 10 to 14 hours every single day.
That's so crazy to me.
And there's a 1 hour discourse in the evening where the teacher sort of extrapolates on what you're doing with this meditation technique, how it works on a biological level, which is really what sort of hooked me in, because I've been averse to religious garbage for my entire life. But they explained it on a science level. They said, this is how your body and your mind interrelate. And this is what this meditation technique is teaching you to do. And you need to be here for these 10 days, detached from the world, doing this for this amount of time every single day, for this to take hold of you and for you to actually learn how to do this properly. And I was coming into it in so much pain after everything that I'd been through that I felt whether it's from a masochistic perspective or from a just you may as well, I really just bought into it and gave it my all. And the first 4 days, man, I must have thought of between 40 and 50 different unique ways to kill myself. It was... Thank you for being the first person to laugh at that. Thank you. Finally.
Also, your face. You were a bit deadpan, but I could tell that you're saying it as a joke. But that's no one laughed at that.
No one laughs at that. I say, of course, I'm saying it as a joke. I'm still here. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So
no, go on.
No, tell me.
Just what sprung to mind. There was a comedian in Melbourne many years ago, and it was really funny. Very dark sense of humor at that time. I won't say who it is, but I thought he was hilarious, and his comedy's changed. He did a bit about surviving cancer and like similar joke to what you said, and 10 times darker. And this is in Melbourne. I don't know why everyone was terrified. I was pissing myself. I'm like, obviously he's okay with it. He's making jokes. He's safe. You know that there's no damage to himself. And I thought these were some of the smartest jokes, but people were so uncomfortable with it. I'm like, the guy's safe. As long as you know the guy's safe and fine. And he's obviously a comedian. He's telling jokes. He's been doing this for a while. And no one laughed but me. And I actually was offended. Not for him, but for everyone else, because I think it's a relationship with that type of stuff, which I'm more comfortable with. But anyway, continue.
No, I'm wondering if we should bookmark that, because I have a lot to say on that exact topic, or if I'm wondering if we should address it now, or I finish telling you about the course and then we come back to it.
Finish telling me about the course and we'll come back to it.
Okay. I think that flows better sequentially anyway. So that's the first 4 days, I'm like, this is a nightmare. I have absolutely nowhere to hide from my grief and my pain, and it's just all here. And they let me take my ADHD medication there, but the notion of quieting your mind is just so foreign to me. And I resigned myself to the fact that I wasn't going to learn the meditation technique properly. I'm too scattered. I'm in too much pain. But at the very least, being here for 10 days and being this kind of detached from society's misery will be beneficial for me. So you may as well just stick it out.
Yep.
Summon. Day 5, the technique finally works for me properly.
Oh, that's wow. Okay.
Yeah. It turns out I was wrong. It turns out my being in so much pain made me all the more determined and focused to get it right. And
nice.
Like, I don't want to say that I was the best at it there,
but I did a pretty damn good job. That was better than the monks.
I'm getting up. The 4 a.m. gong goes, and I'm the only one there in the meditation hall. I'm like, oh, am I fucking Cristiano Ronaldo of meditation? First one to training, last one to leave. Is that what's going on here?
Oh, that's so good.
So on the 5th day, I won't go too much into the actual ins and outs of the meditation technique itself, because I don't think that's what's really important here. But when it works for me, man, I walked out of that meditation hall for one of the breaks, and it was like, the sun felt different on my face and the air felt different in my lungs. I felt 30 kilos lighter. My mind was quieter than I can remember it being in 30 years. I could not generate negative feelings towards anybody. I was thinking of the people that I find the most repugnant, people that I'm envious of, people that I hate. I could not find any negative emotion to generate towards them. And it honestly, man, felt like somebody, like Anthony died and his memories were uploaded to like a brand new body. And yeah.
That's super profound. And then have you been able to, because I've done a lot of these things, not a 10-day silent retreat. I'm envious of you. I'm actually scared to do that a little bit. Dave Thornton, a Melbourne comedian, I'm sure you've met him. He did a 10-day silent retreat and he talks about that as well. But that can be really scary looking within as well. And I've done, like, as I said, a lot of these courses, but sometimes when you come back to reality, it doesn't stick as much. How have you found coming back to the world?
So that day 5 kind of awakening was, that feeling lasted maybe about 3-4 hours. And then I didn't go back to, I wonder if I survived, if I would jump off this cliff. I wonder if the cliff's high enough. I didn't go back to that, but I sort of went back into the pain cycle. Not as deep, but that moment was enough for me to really lock in and understand, oh, this shit works. And I did it as hard as I could for the next 5 days. If I, I don't say this in the show, so I may as well reveal it now if anybody's watching and wants to come. I was taking the ADHD medication that I'm on, and also antidepressants when I went into the course. On day 5, after this moment, I knew in my body that I didn't need the antidepressants anymore. I stopped taking them cold turkey on the spot on the 5th day. Experienced no withdrawals whatsoever. Have not needed them since. Like, I didn't even need to intellectualize it. I just knew you don't need these anymore.
That's crazy. How does that feel, like, knowing that you've healed in a large regard, if that's the right way of saying it?
Well, that's just the thing, right? So much of the teachings of this thing, and so much of what it fundamentally is so you asking me how it feels, but what you're really asking me is to conceptualize the feeling, to intellect, like to verbalize it to you. So you're actually asking me how to you're asking me to intellectualize it, which is in essence the sort of the enemy of it. You have to just feel, like, how does it feel? I can't tell you how it feels. I can feel how it feels. And that's the important thing. When we attach things to our mind and intellectualize them too much, it's almost the blockade to being able to process them physically and emotionally. Your emotion is just your body's reaction to the mind. And if we get too tethered to the thoughts and the intellectualization of the things that are happening to us, you can never physically process any of that, which leads to all the psychosomatic illnesses and injuries that we suffer, except like XYZ.
You are speaking my language. Yeah. Go on.
Of which I have completely recovered from all of them, by the way. I have not gotten sick, physically impaired in any way, including ways that had been hampering me for a decade. They're all gone.
And was this something that you were open to before? As you're thinking of that, I know so many people. I've been studying this. I've been doing this for a long time as well. I've got a long way to go. I'm not perfect. One of my, someone that I know quite close to me from the antidepressant side, they were doing some form of like sound healing, but also like meditating, and also got off the antidepressants. I'm not saying that's for everyone. I'm just saying that was so crazy to see such a profound impact in such a short amount of time. And that also was quite an eye opener as well. But anyway.
No, totally. And before this thing, I would have been very, very jaded and skeptical about all of this sort of stuff. I was very much a mind first kind of person. But the mind and the body are exactly the same thing. The mind is not in here. The mind is in every cell of your body, and energy is matter. Matter is energy. It's all the same thing. And your body is, in essence, so much more important than your mind, because it is your mind. And all of that sound healing stuff, like the chakras, the energetic, all of that shit, to talk about it seems and is douchey and woo woo, and all that, and you know, kind of repulsive a little bit. I still feel that way, but it doesn't mean that it's not all true. You know?
Interesting. Yeah, I've always struggled with it because I studied kinesiology, and if you actually look at the paragraph on what it is, I'm like, why is it marketed like this? This is ridiculous. This is not the world we live in. But at the same time, we also live in a world where there's so many practices and so much that's happening in our lives is so unhealthy that perhaps we've got the wrong way or wrong outlook of looking at things. So I have to go back to, you know, it works for me. It's helped me. It can sound ridiculous. And then, you know, you hear a story like yours, which is crazy. And I'm glad that you've had such profound impact.
But I think ultimately the reason why it's so difficult to package it and like explain it to people in any kind of meaningful way comes back to its kind of core essence. You can't find this anywhere else. You have to find it within you yourself, and it looks and feels like what it looks and feels like to you. Yep. Nobody else can sort of tell you about it or read it. Like, you just have to know. I feel like the things that I'm saying are resonating with you because you've had a similar sort of journey. Whereas we could be having this exact same conversation with, you know, some guy I played soccer with 10 years ago who's still living with his mom, and we may as well be speaking a foreign language to him.
And I think that's also what I've learned about this communication. I could write down, and I'm not just talking about from whatever you want to call this, spiritual space, healing, wellness, whatever. I can have, and it can be on any topic. It can be about soccer, probably not soccer, but I could get my points out, write it word for word, say it as clearly as possible. And then sometimes people just can't hear it. And I'm the same. Maybe someone's saying something to me and you just can't hear it. And it's such a wild concept to me, because what I've said is like, there's no way to misinterpret it. But sometimes you just see people's eyes like glass over, and it's kind of like you need to hear it when you need to hear it, as lame as that sounds. Because as you said, you may have not been potentially ready for this type of chat maybe before you did this practice. And that still drives me nuts, because you have to be ready to receive in that sense. And it's still something I need to work on. I don't know about you. It sounds like you've done all the healing, but yeah.
Oh, hell no. Like it's a never ending journey. Right. And I'll let you know just how much in a moment. We're going to add that to the previous bookmark about not being able to handle people's pain in a show. Add that to that, because it's all linked. That stuff that you just said is all linked as well. In the post, when I left that place, first of all, on day 10, you're allowed to talk. It's kind of like the soft relaunch into society. You're allowed to talk to your co-meditators, because it'd be a bit weird to go straight from silence to the freeway. So
true, I never thought about that.
Yeah, you are allowed to talk. Hadn't spoken to any of these guys, didn't know any of their names, technically wasn't allowed to make eye contact with any of them throughout the week. As soon as we're allowed to talk, everyone's crying and hugging. It was amazing.
Wow. You
Yeah.
know where my head went? Wondering what their voice would sound like, and their voice sounding the exact opposite to what you think it would sound like. That's what I'd be thinking about the entire 10 days.
Oh,
That you
dude,
might...
more than that. It's like how much of the backstory that I have written for all of these people is accurate. How much of it is like,
He was Doug, he was a truck driver, and then you're just like, hi there, how you going?
straight up. I'm like, this guy's a North Shore soy boy for sure. Turns out the guy cycled all the way from Norway to into the base of India. This guy's Norwegian. Yeah.
Isn't that also just another bookmark where we think we know someone, or we think we can paint a picture, and we have absolutely no idea about their story, what they're going through, and what's happening as well.
You don't know shit.
And we just assume we create stories. So the moment you are able to talk to everyone and cry, that sounds like it would just been a beautiful experience. You would have just cleansed yourself in a sense. Can you tell me a bit more about that?
Just yeah. I mean, it's one of those humanizing moments where we've all been through this very, very difficult thing together, and so there's just an inherent love that sort of permeates across the group that's there. You get to know okay, I didn't mention this before. Every person there gets a private cabin.
Yep.
Except for the 8 youngest men. They were shoved into a room that could probably comfortably fit maybe about 4 people. Single beds separated by sheets hanging from the ceiling.
Yep.
I was the second oldest of the 8 youngest men. So I'm in there. I'm in boys camp. And it ended up being the biggest blessing because on that final night, the 7 of us, because I actually got one guy moved because he was just spluttering and coughing the whole time. Like, this guy's going to get everyone sick. So I had him removed on day 3. By which point he had already gotten me sick, so it was kind of null and void anyway, but that's not the point. The 7 of us stayed up until maybe 1 o'clock in the morning, 3 hours before they woke us up with a gong for the final day, just like school camp swapping who are you stories. And as you can imagine, just such a wonderfully eclectic group of people that go to do this kind of thing. I was by far the most boring person. Not even close.
But isn't that also a good thing? Sometimes being boring is great. I know not from a stand-up perspective, but from, you know what I'm saying. Oh, yeah. Damn it. Yeah.
Man, dude from Norway who genuinely cycled from Norway to the southernmost tip of India and then got a plane to Australia, and that's how he's here, was swapping cycling stories with this Aussie guy who cycled the entire vertical length of Africa in a year with nothing but a backpack.
That's so crazy.
Yeah, man. And telling us his stories, like he genuinely nearly died on 2 occasions. And that was kind of par for the course in terms of the amazing life experiences that these guys sort of had. That was really, really cool. Now, in terms of how I carried it with me back into life, because that's yet another reason why I will always err towards calling it a course and not a retreat, because you go there to learn this meditation technique, and it does take 10 days to learn with the idea of bringing it into your normal life. And that's very hard. The meditation is an hour. It's minimum an hour to do it.
Okay.
And the prescription is you do it an hour in the morning and an hour at night every day.
Yeah.
And for about 3 months, I did that after I came back. It's very hard. And I fell off towards the end of last year, when things explode in your life, the mushroom cloud kind of goes wide, and you don't just get to deal with one explosion. You tend to have to put out a lot of fires, and things always escalate, but that's fine. I found myself in the best mental and spiritual position to be able to deal with all of that afterwards. I was like a totally different person dealing with that kind of shit afterwards. And that's sort of the overall takeaway from the course is two different things, two things occurring at once. When I returned, people were like, what the fuck happened to this guy? Because my energy was so different. I was so calm and present and floating. And like people could sense it the moment I walked into the room before I'd even opened my mouth. It was that profound. And I think that most of that probably comes from being away for the 10 days, being detached from phone and society and all of that. I think that comes from that. And that
it's probably like a double element as well. Like there's definitely a lot of stuff happening by us being glued and definitely changing potentially like brain chemistry and all of that stuff. But obviously you went through a profound experience. People can sense it's like the same experience. Like when you're at a party or something, you see someone cross their arms, like, I don't want to be near that person. You can feel that negative void. Works the other way as well. But
100%, 100%. But that kind of energy did fade over the months. But what has not faded is what the kind of core principle of the meditation does, which is, the very base notion is that there is a difference between pain and misery. Pain is inevitable, it's impermanent, it comes and it goes. Misery is when we allow pain to attach to our mind and infiltrate our identity and hence our body, right? And by having that experience, no matter what life throws at me, I feel like I'm a different person dealing with it all. It's cool. I still feel all of the horrible emotions, still feel heartbreak, I still feel sadness and anger, but it no longer kind of drives the action and the thought. It's there. I feel it in my body. It's horrible. But the way I've been putting it is my heart is broken, but my mind is jacked, man. It's like I feel very emotionally I'm not the best at all times, but mentally I'm very, very strong. And it's made such a huge difference to everything. And that's probably the best thing that came out of this.
That's amazing. That's something that you it's like a upgrade in a sense. That's something that will carry on for the rest of your life. That's actually so amazing to hear.
I hope so. Well, in case it doesn't, I'm actually doing the course again on Wednesday.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I'm going back.
So how will it work? And this is also what you talk about in your comedy show. I think it's Divine Comedy. It's in the episode notes. People check it out. We'll talk about it more as well. Is that going to finish just before the comedy festival?
You better believe it.
Oh, wow. You're going to be so, as you said, jacked. This is going to be a great show. Perfect. You come out of it straight into it.
I actually don't know, Michael, because you know what? I tend to be at my best on stage when I'm fucking furious. So it may have the opposite effect.
Well, it's actually really interesting you say that. Through doing internal work, and I've done this stuff for a while. When we shift, we think that's like an old belief system, and you've been alluding to your identity and stuff. You might actually find a big shift in that regard, where if you're more at peace or clarity, you might find your best work. I used to be a little bit like that, and I've had a big change in that. Anger and stuff is important. It tells us something we need to know, but it's not necessarily the thing that drives me as much. But as you said, anger actually can be really important depending on how we use it. But I reckon you could have a big shift where you can potentially shift that a little bit if it resonates. Yeah, fingers crossed. Okay.
Here's hope. Cool. Have you seen Gary Goldman's The Great Depression?
No.
Gary Goldman, I think, is probably my favorite comedian of all time, I would say. And his show that came out in 2019, I believe, The Great Depression, is all about his battle with depression, and interspersed throughout the stand-up, there's kind of little documentary cuts of him talking to members of his family, comedians, friends, and different things. And there's this moment where he's at the Comedy Cellar talking to, I can't remember actually which comedian it is. And they're talking about how, the stereotype is that comedians need to be depressed and somber and dark to get your best work out. And they're like, nah, man, you got to be happy. That's like, it's the happiness. We're trying to put happiness into this room. You got to be happy. That's the thing. And that really always resonated with me. I've never bought into the notion of like, you need to be mining your sadness for anything. Fuck that. That's not how it is. Gary Goldman also has my favorite quote about comedy that when reading through your sample questions, I thought, well, I've got to bring this one up because it's so pertinent to all the stuff that you like that this podcast is about effectively. It's the notion that when every gig becomes a referendum on your worth as a human being, you're not doing it right.
Oh, that's huge. And so did you feel that way? Because I know you've spoken about you're only as good as your last gig, which is true in a sense, but the weight that you can place on your mind, like that sentence can mean so many different things to so many different people. So can you expand?
I don't believe that anymore.
Oh, wow.
No. You're not only as good as your last gig.
Oh, because that's something you used to say in a lot of other podcasts. That's, you know, I feel like I don't know what the thing is, but I feel very proud of you because I've heard you say that a lot of time, and I had that in my note. That's really cool to hear a switch up. So yeah, tell me more about why you don't believe that anymore.
Because it's just fundamentally not true. I'll watch this segue. I just finished Adelaide Fringe 2 weeks ago. I had 9 shows. This show, The Divine Comedy, was named. The reason why I called the show The Divine Comedy initially is because I was doing my previous show in Wellington, in New Zealand. The show was called Papu. It was about my great grandfather. And I spoke to a guy after the show in Wellington, and he said to me, man, you know, we saw the poster and we saw that it said Papu, but we didn't know it was a comedy show. You should call it Papu the Comedy Show so people know. And at first I was like,
that's great.
But then I remembered that, you know, the lowest common denominator's money is worth the same amount as anyone else. So,
that's great.
We're
all equal from a monetary point of view. I love that. I'm going to use that one.
That's the cuntiest thing that I'm going to say on your podcast today. Sorry, that's
that's great. No, but I know what you mean. There's love in that.
Yeah, there is love in that. So I thought, okay, what is a way that I can sneak the word comedy into my show while keeping it sort of like maintaining some semblance of artistic integrity? The Divine Comedy occurred to me. It's like I can stick to, you know, it's broadly Italian. Like I can somehow inorganically make the show into 3 separate parts, so it almost, you know, is an homage to the original text, and like fine, we'll work it from there. And I had this completely different show written called The Divine Comedy, and then while I'm at this meditation course, I'm like, bro, you're in the fucking Divine Comedy right now, because it was 4 days of hell, then it was 4 days of God, this is boring, I'm gonna be here forever, and then it was 2 days of I am a changed human being forever.
Wow.
Yeah. So I sacked that whole show. I performed it 3 times at the Sydney Fringe Festival. The 3rd time I filmed it and put it on YouTube and said, that's it, finished. I'm done with that material. I'm writing.
Divine Comedy, the one about your grandma.
Well, no. It was initially The Divine Comedy, but
gotcha.
It ceased being The Divine Comedy once I'd had this experience. It was still called The Divine Comedy on the Sydney Fringe website, but I called it something else, put it on YouTube, and none of that material is in the show at all. This new show is the actual Divine Comedy, and it's all about my experience at this meditation thing.
That's amazing. I know we're going to come back to the bookmarks, but this is something that I was thinking about before the podcast. And, you know, you've got Italian and Greek upbringing as well, and there's an identity that you've spoken about. I actually have a quote about it because I think at times you felt you had to be can I say this word? I don't know, you said
you can. Yes, you can.
What's the slur? I've got Greek family members. my best friend at school was Greek, but I don't understand the slur thing, which is ridiculous. I know I'm going to sound ridiculous, but everyone always said it was the most positive thing in the world, especially like when we went over for like Easters or whatever and lunches. But anyway, you previously spoke about being like the WOG comedian and how there were great benefits and also some negatives in the sense of like your identity of just having to be that guy. And how does it feel to be, I assume, doing a show that's not as heavily featured about those topics as well? Because you said that's been a bit of something that you've over the years wanted to work on or through.
Well, I have always tried to the for lack of a better word, the genre of quote unquote ethnic comedy in Australia has always got a little bit of a stink around it, that it's hacky and stereotypical and sort of stuck in time. And I don't necessarily disagree with that. But because of that notion, I think people with there or thereabouts that kind of ethnicity that want to be comedians have naturally sort of steered clear of talking about their ethnicity in any way so as to not be labeled as one of those people. Gotcha. And for me, my ethnicity and my family heritage is a huge part of my identity. So there's just no way around talking about it. But I've always sort of strived to talk about it in a way that not only represents the communities and the ethnicity, but also represents like modern proper comedy and shows nuance. A great deal of the audience for those kinds of it's a double-edged sword, because you can accumulate a big audience because people will just see the word Greek on something and just go, I'm buying tickets, doesn't matter what it is.
Yeah. You're a great community like that, as you know better than anyone.
Yeah, but the double-edged sword with that is they'll come, but if you don't package it exactly the way they've become accustomed to, it's not okay with a lot of them, and that is thankfully changing. But that's sort of been my battle, which brings us nicely to all of the bookmarks. I'm about to put them on the same page.
Oh, I love this. You can be my co-host.
So I just finished Adelaide Fringe. This show, I've only done it 17 times thus far, which is a lot actually going into the Melbourne Comedy Festival. It was the first time I did Perth Fringe. I did a trial show in Sydney as well. So I've really training wheels this show thus far. Nice. Adelaide can be tough. Adelaide are I won't say that they are overall more conservative, more religious, but you tend to find pockets of it. And this show is very difficult to pull off because I am talking about something that is an experience that not a lot of people have. And I am getting to like the meditation course. If anyone's made it this far in the podcast, they can receive a tiny spoiler for the show. The meditation course is really just a narrative prism for me to talk about the tough time that I had last year. And that's kind of what it's really about. And, as with any fucking festival hour of comedy, you have to play your tiny violin at the end. Otherwise Melbourne won't let you in. So,
can you expand on that? Do you mean like you? Yeah, I'll let you. Can you expand on that? Because I have a similar thing.
It's the trickle down effect from the Edinburgh Fringe Festival. The best shows, the shows that kind of win the awards and are critical darlings, are the shows that are hilarious for 50 minutes, and then the last 5 minutes, it's like, my dad died, I was molested, whatever. Like the vulnerable part of the show, and then you wrap it all up and talk about your catharsis, and then it's like
give you the awards and
yeah. Whereas in America, you could do an hour of just gags that have nothing to do with each other, and that's an hour of comedy, and that's the end. Melbourne's a mini Edinburgh in that regard. Like you certainly don't have to, and no one's forcing you to. But it's
undertones.
Yeah. Totally. It's the nature of the beast. And I kind of find myself, cycling back to what we were talking about at the very start. I really enjoy putting together the hour from at least a narrative perspective. How are we laying breadcrumbs at the start that are going to be paid off at the end? I love that. That's my favorite thing to do with comedy, is to just coalesce a bunch of ideas that seem unrelated at the start, and then it's at the end, you've tied them all up, and it's like a magic trick. The audience has gone, oh my God, all that stuff was relevant. Oh my God, amazing, right? I love that kind of stuff.
Same.
But this one is not a shoehorned in, my dad molested me thing. This is like a very real, but by the way, that's not the reveal of my show. If in case anybody's wondering, something totally unrelated.
It's worse.
Yeah, it's way worse. I molested him. It's
Holy shit! I would have wanted to, but that I've never even heard of. I don't even know what to say. No notes.
Unreal. No notes.
Yeah.
So it's very difficult to earn. I feel, at least, it's very difficult to earn that level of honesty and vulnerability at the end of the show, or towards the end of the show, if you haven't set your blocks up correctly at the start of the show. And inevitably, when you're first road testing the show, you don't know what's going to resonate and what's going to work without a few test runs. I had 9 shows in Adelaide. 4 of them were exactly what I want this show to be, and I walked away like, we've got it. 2 of them were fine.
Yep.
The other 3 were absolute unmitigated nightmares.
The way that you said that. Oh, go on.
Yeah, and by the way, that's not sequential. It wasn't, the first was shit and then I figured it out. It's like, it's roller coaster. It's like shit, average, great, shit. It was just up and down every single month.
Fuck. That's even worse in the sense, because you're like, your data points are all skewed. If you knew, so how do you go with that? Because that's wild.
There's definitely things that you pick up on. You're like, okay, well, that's obviously a mistake. We changed that. But sometimes there really is just no accounting for arriving at one of our bookmarks. Some people were the mechanism that turns pain into misery, attaches it to our minds, that I was talking about before, is aversion. It's not pain itself that creates misery. It's our not wanting to feel pain. It's this pain is too much for me, and I'm going to do anything possible to end it. Whether that is falling into addiction, whether that is numbing it by watching sport, whether that is I'm going to hear my friend talking and telling me about their difficult life situation, and I'm going to say, well, you should do this. I'm going to proffer solutions to this person despite hearing about their problem for 5 minutes. I'm somehow going to tell them something that they haven't thought of. It's basically just, we are uncomfortable with pain, and we're going to try and do everything we can to mitigate it. And that works both ways. That works both with our own pain and other people's pain. And there have been nights where my quote unquote WOG audience, who have not, they've seen Anthony Locascio. I follow that guy on Instagram. He does videos about Greek shit. I'm not even going to read the blurb for his show. I'm not going to look at what the show is called. I'm not going to do anything. I'm just going to buy the ticket, and I'm going to go and enjoy this sushi mango no sugar show. And all of a sudden, this guy is talking about the most painful experience that he's ever had. And some people really can't deal with that. There was one night in particular where there's a moment in the show that requires, by design, silence. And it's very vulnerable and it's very tense. And I had 6 Greek ladies talking loudly through it and saying, this is so fucking awkward. I don't know what's going on. And then, despite that, they then came up to me after the show and they're like, listen, we love you. We love you. we love your videos, but you're not okay. And I'm like, yeah, I just told you that. That's the whole thing, right? Like,
Yeah.
congratulations on getting the idea. Also, thank you, because despite having all these wonderful support networks in my life, I wasn't ever going to be okay until I spoke to these 6 random Greek ladies in Adelaide that like my videos. Now this is
Yep.
what's pushed me,
But it's
and
really,
it's no, you go.
I was just going to say, it is interesting of how, it's expectations, not just from a comedy point of view, where you are this one person. So our friends, our family expect us to be a certain way. And then when we change and grow, often could also sound a bit lame. Sometimes we grow in different directions to other people, and people don't like that because it can reflect a mirror on them, which is probably what you're about to say. And so growth can be challenging in that sense where, people aren't willing to go in the ride with you. And yeah, I'll let you continue.
You're exactly right, and I think for comics, in a certain way, or any performer really, the audience is people in your life. Do you know what I mean? The last time these people saw me, I was doing a 1-hour show about my grandfather, getting kicked out of Australian soccer for punching a referee in the face, and it's all kind of like about immigrant stuff, and it's a nice narrative, and it's what I want to do on a structural level, but it's nothing like this at all. I very purposefully drip feed a little bit of Greek and Italian adjacent shit into this show, and not to pander, not to satiate the people. That's a sort of secondary effect, but it's really important. Like, that stuff's really important to the narrative too. But I've put it in the spot that I've put it in the show to at least have the people coming in expecting sushi mango no sugar to go, oh, okay, we're fine, we're safe here.
Interesting. And so, from the growth as a performer, we see it with musicians sometimes when they change their sound, like, oh, what are you doing? But you're a human being. You've gone through radical growth and you're going to continue to do so. That's so interesting, of, what I was alluding to before, where we want you to kind of stay in your lane, but that's not how life works. It's kind of weird. I also have these expectations. Coldplay changed their sound. How could they do that? But now with a bit of reflection, like, oh, that's actually pretty cool. They're trying new thing, whatever the example is. How do you kind of like rationalize that? Because you're growing a lot. Your comedy is going to grow. You're not going to be the same, and you don't want to be the same.
Well, I think that Coldplay reflection on your part would have come as a result of your emotional maturity, because you're probably jarred by the new sound initially, and then chicken or egg, like, something happened. It was either the Coldplay music itself made you have that moment of growth, or you had the moment of growth externally, and then you returned to Coldplay and you're like, oh, well, hang on, they're growing too. They're human beings as well.
Yeah.
But perhaps contrary to that, in some kind of way, if you've been paying attention to the work that I've been doing, I've actually not changed anything. Every single one of my shows since I started touring in 2022 has been a deeply emotionally troubled man, with a pretty, like, complex relationship with his ethnicity and family and his own life, etc. Basically trying to balance all of these things and presenting the hour show in a way that sort of ties together nicely. Like, it's a very, very linear evolution, if you're paying attention. But if you're an idiot,
so when you go back and you have, this has happened before, where they see Divine Comedy, for maybe not Divine Comedy, where they're like, I need more Greek stuff, or those ladies saying, go back to your old videos. What do you do? How do you take on, if you take on that feedback? What do you do? Because that's probably quite frustrating when you have that.
I mean, in the moment, because the show itself went not the way I wanted it to go, and in the moment I just felt so dejected that I'm like, I just walked away. And took the long walk back to my cousin's place where I was staying, and you know, I got 2 more shows here, and like we will wake up tomorrow and I film every show for appraisal, not for content. I just you know, just want to see. I used to voice record everything, but now I actually physically will film stuff because, you know, looking at being able to appraise your body language and the way you step in and out of the light and different things like that. This stuff's all important too. And I'm now starting to pay attention to that stuff as well.
Oh,
So
nice.
I sit at the cafe and go over the footage from the previous night. And, you know, like I mentioned before, if I've had a shit show the night before, I am filled with so much just indignation, just anger, that I'm like, I am going to rip this apart and figure it out. And so it's harnessed in a healthy way. The energy is harnessed in a healthy way. The actual advice itself, more wog shit, whatever. If anything, that makes my resolve even stronger, because you're wrong. You're wrong. It's not more wog shit. I knew for a fact that those ladies were not comfortable with handling my emotion, and that's going to happen. That means that it's on me to earn it more, because there are going to be people in my audiences that cannot handle emotion. I need to Trojan horse it so much better. And there is a way to earn enough laughs, slowly drip feed the poignancy through. And then by the time they realize that they're in a portrait of a man falling apart, it's too late. They already love me.
See, this is what I love. And I don't know if this has been a shift or you've always been like this. Sometimes when we can receive feedback, whether negative or not, we go, fuck them. They have no idea, they didn't get it. And yes, that might be true. That might be true to a degree. But you're like, no, how can I get better? Where can I do it? How can I dissect it? That is quite unique. A lot of people in all areas of life, I do this, they're wrong, they have no idea. And yes, they might be wrong, but you're actually looking at ways to improve as well. I love that. Has that always been something you've done?
Oh, fuck no. Fuck no. Oh my God, man. It would be one or the other. And this is the ego and the shame mechanism that creates this, right? It would either be fuck them, they're idiots, or fuck me, I'm the worst comedian in the world, I should quit. And no in between, no nuance.
Yep.
The truth is not just somewhere in the middle, it's all the way in the middle. Both those things hold validity. Okay, I have my conviction in what it is that I want to present here and the story that I want to tell and the craft that I want to use to tell the story. But the audience is who I'm telling the story to. And I need to account for people who are not necessarily comfortable with all of these things. The best art is not art that only speaks to, you know, one kind of person. The best art is the art that speaks in different ways to different kinds of people.
Yes.
So the only way to do that is to say, okay, well, those people could not figure out, I watched James Acaster's Cold Lasagna, Hate Myself, 1999. I don't think you've seen it.
No.
It's brilliant. It's one of my favorite specials I've ever seen. And there's a moment where he has to actually qualify early in the second half of the show. He says, I just want you guys to know that all of this stuff that I'm talking about, I've processed it. I'm okay. You don't have to worry about me. By my being here talking about it in comedy, it means I've processed it. Because in case you didn't realize, you people wouldn't be the first that I come to with this.
That's so important. That's what I was saying at the start with that comedian, where obviously he's okay. First of all, he said he's okay. He said all of that. But sometimes you need that disclaimer so people go, oh. But that being said, I have seen a comedian where I genuinely was like, I don't know how you are going to get back home safely. And that's the worst. But sorry, continue.
But that distinction is down to the craft of it, right?
Yeah.
And that was clearly a gap in what I was presenting, because, you know, I wager that both of those comedians that you're talking about and myself fit within the same spectrum of, this person is at times okay and at times still going through it. they are processing this pain in their own way, but also through this show that they are presenting, which will bring some level of catharsis in it if done correctly. And the way you do that correctly is when you finish the show with that, that hope that this bad thing happened, dip at the 50 minutes, and then the 55 minutes, you're like, but, and then the audience goes, we get it. Thank you. Sick. Love that guy. That validates the whole experience for you. If I'm not finding a way to get that out of every single person, at least in the audience, or at least to a degree where I'm not going to have people openly disrespecting the part where I'm like, this is what happened to me, and everyone else is quiet, and there's 6 Greek ladies going, this is fucking awkward, man, then I'm not doing my job properly.
Yeah, I really enjoy that. So now that you've had such a whirlwind of responses, I guess, how do you feel now for the shows?
Oh, victory lap on the way, because Melbourne people are smart. You know, you do Adelaide so that Adelaide is that's horrible. That's the second cunty thing I'm going to say. Adelaide and Perth are weighted training gear so that you can just just go for it in Melbourne. No, I can't wait. I can't wait for Melbourne. Melbourne is the hyperbolic time chamber. Melbourne is where the show fully comes into its own every time, because you are back to back. I'm doing a 2 and a bit week run only, which seems to be par for the course these days. It's like 13 or 14 shows, but you have like one night.
That's a lot. Yeah.
It is a lot. But the traditional model is you do the whole month. I've never done the whole month in Melbourne, but I've done minimum 9 shows, at least 9, usually 12, 13, 14 shows every time. And it's a slog. You do it every night, but you just learn so much. You grow so much. You really sharpen the show, and I feel it's already in a good enough place that it's going to be well received overall, regardless.
Nice.
I really can't wait, man. I'm like chewing at the bit to get to Melbourne and start it.
That's amazing. When you said Adelaide and Perth were your training ground, what is the order? Is it Perth because Perth is first? So Perth get like just a run of the mill, all the comedy shows. Adelaide get a little bit better than Melbourne. It's perfected.
Yeah, it's the unfortunate way of the calendar, but you put together the show, and then it's Perth are getting the first. Some people don't do that. Some people start their show and do a bunch of trial shows late in the year, and then they come to the festival with a fully formed kind of thing.
Yeah,
my thing was fully formed in its writing, but you don't know until you've tested it on a bunch of audiences. You don't know what works and in what order. I think by the nature of them being fringe festivals, Perth and Adelaide, there is a little bit more of an allowance for, okay, this person is just kind of experimenting here. They at least, there's at least a tiny expectation among punters that that's going to be the case. Whereas the Melbourne International Comedy Festival, the expectation is that you bring in a finished product.
And how come you've never moved to Melbourne? Was that ever on the radar, or UK or America?
Melbourne was on the radar for a little while, and then COVID sort of hindered all that for a little bit. The UK is always there. I am halfway through the processing of my 3-year US visa, which should hit in October. So in October, I'm out of here.
Oh.
Yeah. There's a mini tour planned in October, maybe like 12 to 15 different cities, where I'm going to be doing, hopefully, this show, if I can find a way to make it Americanized. And the visa will be for 3 years. So the choice will be, when that tour ends, it'll be, do I come back and then kind of incrementally throughout the 3 years go and tour again and do gigs, or do I just stay here and see what's happening?
That's
but I'll cross that. Yeah, it's cool. I'll cross that bridge later in the year.
Oh, amazing. And with anything you want to tie up with the bookmarks before I just go through some other questions? Do we hit all the bookmarks?
I think we did. I think we did because you talked about being unable to process pain and the show being awkward thing, and I feel like they are completely linked. You will see emotionally repressed people that, yeah, you can see them.
It's like the eyes.
Yeah, yeah, the body language, all of it. It's like you do a show, and I was so egotistical about comedy before, which if you're going to ask me about the funny and failure questions coming up, we'll definitely get into it about this. But when comedy used to be, when I first started, as like, it's going to be my salvation, it's all about me, blah blah blah, I was not present enough or conscious of the people in my audience in any kind of way. But since that's been changing, in real time, I'm looking around at the people in the audience, and I can see how they're consuming what I'm saying, and you can tell everything about a human being from how they will receive a comedy show, especially if they're in a room and other people are laughing and they're just like, you can tell they're enjoying it, but their body will not allow that emotion to exude. Um,
Yes.
that guy hasn't said "I love you" to his son once.
It's actually a really interesting take, and then added on that also with this comedy show, I've seen it before, like knowing when you can laugh, inverted commas, at this one show at different times. I'd be laughing. I literally had tears down my eyes, like laughing. It was so funny. But I noticed a few people would look to the left to right to see if it was socially acceptable to laugh, and I was like, to me, that's the strangest one. It's funny, but you just have to look around to see if it's okay. You're in a comedy show. I don't know if you've
Do you know what
ever,
that is? Do you know what that is,
yeah,
Michael? And
no.
and I know this is gonna fucking hit you hard. That's the creative person. That's the creative person understanding what's happening here, because I'll bet you can't watch movies and TV anymore the way you used to. I'll bet you watch movies and TV, and your base instinct is, what is the creator trying to tell me with this scene, with this
Yes,
whatever,
yep.
as opposed to being there, like how you used to watch it when you were a kid, and you're like, oh, this is really happening. Now all you're seeing is the craft of it all. And so you, as a comedy audience member with that toolkit, you don't have to look around and see, like, you understand that's what this person is trying to get me to do. So I know my role here, but these people don't have that perception. They're still in a very kind of literal plane of consuming whatever they're consuming. They still get scared by the horror movie. They don't see, oh, that's a sick prosthetic, that's a mad VFX. Like they don't consume it like that.
That is, I'm glad you could put words to that because I didn't know what it was. So I appreciate that as well. And I just wrote a few points as you're talking about ego and being present. Is this through your latest experience where potentially more aware of this, or has it come slowly over time?
Combination of both. The latest experience has really accelerated it, obviously, but it goes back to the Gary Goldman thing, man, and this is exactly how I had prepared to answer your questions about failure itself. I I came into comedy with so much ambition and so little nous and ability.
Oh,
And
I'm
oh
surprised to say.
yeah, man. Yeah, man. I have been surfing the Dunning Kruger scale like a fucking rip curl the whole time, man. It's like you start and you think that, why aren't Hollywood calling? And then the better you get, the more you're like, I'm shit. But at the start, I was all bluster and that, you know, that for lack of a better, less Instagrammy word, that narcissism, it's a self-defeating prophecy, because I was able to achieve some really cool things really early on. I sold out the Sydney Comedy Store just after 2 years of doing comedy, which is absurd, and it was my dream from 11 years old. Like, the reason why I'm doing this was to do Enmore Theatre, and I did Enmore Theatre at the start of last year. It was like, tick, thing done. And there was plenty of things like that along the way. And because I was so caught up in ego and narcissism and inability to just see beyond myself, I never appreciated any of these things for what they were. It just reconfigured it in my mind. I'm like, well, if a piece of shit like you can accomplish these things, then they couldn't have been as difficult as I thought they were. It's like I would diminish the accomplishment rather than allow it to be a good thing for me. And I realized that. I was like, man, what the fuck are you doing this for then? Like, what if you can't enjoy this? If you're up there on stage at Enmore Theatre, which has been your dream since you were 11 years old, and the whole time you're in a state of deep anxiety, wondering how it's going to be received, what it's going to mean for your career progression, how the footage is going to come out, all this like, if you're constantly worried about tomorrow, how could you possibly enjoy today? And so just the knowledge of that, realizing that wholeheartedly, like I realized on some level the whole way through, but realizing that wholeheartedly had to lead to a change in some way.
Yeah.
And now since I've done the rest of the work, it's like absolute second nature to me now. It's
so you can appreciate, you can be like, look, like that was great. The self-talk, as we alluded to at the start, it's much better being like, I actually did this. Not many people can do this.
Yeah, but not even a that's great. Just more like a that's really cool. And then I also had a FaceTime last night with my little cousin who's 25 and has been scared of everything for his whole life and just moved to London by himself, and we chatted for an hour, and he's a sick dude and he's settling in, and that hour was every bit as important to my life as the hour that I did at Enmore Theatre. Like, they're both sick things.
That's amazing. And I'll come back to that. How has your definition of success changed?
I don't like the word definition because infinite is something that doesn't end. It's infinite, and indefinite is something that's ongoing. Definite means it's done. So we can define success can be defined when success's tombstone is carved, right? But to give you a not douchebag answer to that question, which I take it you're looking for.
You can say whatever you want.
It's the bumper sticker thing, man. It's like success is peace. Success is just being okay, I wake up every day and I'm good. That's the end. And from there, you can achieve so much more than you could have otherwise. I was saying this. I'll throw my dad under the bus for a moment. My dad is a first generation Italian Australian man. He's been running a construction company for his entire life. He's been playing guitar privately since he was like a little boy. In his bedroom, he just taught himself chords and he just plays the songs that he likes. Late last year, he just decided to join a band and start playing publicly.
Oh, and, wow.
Yeah.
That's huge.
And yeah, it's awesome. It's awesome. Watched him play. He gets so much enjoyment out of it. I feel like I watch him and it's like I'm the dad, It's sick. And he was telling me at some point late last year, he's like, this other band wants me to play with them and wants me to go to, we're going to perform in pubs and stuff, and they want to practice like 2 or 3 times a week. And I'm worried that, I'm not going to be able to expend the right amount of energy for the business if I take that kind of time to practice. And, I really want to do it, but, I'm torn. And I honestly, wholeheartedly said to him, if you allow this thing into your life that is giving you this sort of fulfillment and happiness and peace, you'll be a much better business runner than you would if you expended that time running the business, right?
Yeah.
A happy and fulfilled and energized person is always going to be better at the mechanics of whatever they're doing. So success is just peace, and anything that comes on top is gravy.
We're going to have to talk about this for a part 2 in the future, but that is so important. I used to be an accountant, used to work in corporate insolvency. We'll talk about all that another time. And
Wait. Did you just say I used to be an accountant and used to work in corporate insolvency?
Yeah, weren't you in corporate insolvency?
Oh, yeah, I was. I thought you were saying that you did as well.
No, I was an accountant.
You were an accountant. Okay. I also was an accountant in insolvency, but yes,
I thought where I was, they were slightly different, but anyway. And I forgot what and to them, I looked at a lot of the partners, and the only view of success was, how much money they're making, how big the business has gone, how big it's growing, and all of that stuff. And we had like a guest speaker, and they planted the seed, and I still think about it now. He went around the room and asked everyone what their hobbies were, and no one really had a hobby. And he said, "You're not going to succeed if you don't have a hobby." And everyone's like, "No, I've lived my whole life to become an accountant." And he goes, "It's not going to be enough. You need other things to fulfill you. Accounting's probably not your dream. And yes, you need it to work and support your family and all that stuff. And that's great if that works with you. But if you don't have other things that bring you joy, you're just destined to kind of fail." And I thought that was so brilliant, because we never talk about that stuff. So the advice you gave your dad was brilliant, because this is something that's giving him like this surge of energy. And I think that's kind of, to me, that's success. That's the key to life, is honoring like I call your highest excitement, things like that. So I'm so glad you brought that up, and your dad's doing that. That's awesome to hear.
Oh, he quit the band. He's an idiot, but
still great advice. That's so funny.
Take it or leave it, you know what I mean? It's like we were saying before, you can't help anyone. You got to help yourself only. You can't drag people kicking and screaming.
You can only show people the door.
Yeah.
I reckon.
No, hit me. Oh, just in the takeaways from the meditation course, one of the things was that, like, and they even say this, it's so prescient how they know this. It's like on the 7th day, I think it is, the teacher says at night, you may be wondering if this is working for you. And let me tell you that if today you made a big list of people in your life that when you go back to your life, you're going to drag by the ears to come and do this thing to them, that you're going to make them come to this meditation course because they desperately need it. If today you made that list, it's working for you. Straight up 6 hours earlier, I had made that list in my head. So the prescience, they just know. They know how it works to that degree. But the reality is you can't drag. You can't make anybody do anything.
You can only show people the door. That's been one of the most challenging things. Also, the arrogance of my end to think this is what you need, you have to do it as well. But yes, caused a lot of pain. But you can only show people the door. You can plant the seeds. You can support them. But each person needs to make their own decision.
Exactly.
Before we go and I ask people how they can follow you, anything you wanted to tie up, anything on the questions, anything that we've spoken about. I have one question that I want to tie up. Anything spring to mind, or I'll go to the last bit.
Just as a further kind of piece of evidence of such a profound kind of impact, I came back. I haven't had a sip of alcohol since June last year. I used to be dramatically addicted to vaping. Haven't touched it like at all.
Whoa.
And I used to be so addicted to soccer and everything, like the minutiae of like, I could tell you what the reserve goalkeeper of the Israeli national team, I know what like boots he wears, I was that deep into it. And I haven't watched a game or cared about anything since I came back from that course. And it's not a conscious thing. What it is the removal of whatever mechanism was within me that led to these masking, addicting behaviors is gone. So it's not that I'm saying to myself, don't drink. I tried to drink. I tried to vape. I'm like, do I still like this? My body rejects it because whatever it is that was drawing me to that is gone. And it's it's replaced by something else that's a bit intangible right now. But I don't have any drive to do any of those things that were clearly numbing escapism.
Oh my God, you're speaking. That is, I needed to hear that as well, because often we think addictions, as we said, can be smoking, alcohol, or that. But sport is actually a huge one. Playing sport is obviously, I play basketball, for example, that can be really important. But I 100%, and we'll talk about this another time, numbed myself by watching footy many years ago. I don't even like footy that much. I just do it as a bare minimum, so I'm like normal and present in the world. Otherwise, I've gone too far off the rails. But I used to watch every single game of AFL football. Now I just don't really care. Like, I like the aspects I like, but it's not like, oh, the footy's on, I'm not excited. That is great growth on your end. I just want to tie up one point before we go.
Yes,
You
please do.
mentioned musicals. Have you always had like this love for musicals? How did this come to be? Because that's pretty. You lit up and you're smiling now, thinking.
I guess so. As a kid, I was like, I think it's my age bracket, but it's like all of the big Disney movies that came out when I was very little were like, they had the nothing but net bangers, whether it's The Lion King, Beauty and the Beast, the Mulan, like the soundtracks are just nothing but hits. So I've had that within me the whole time, and then seeing musicals in terms of performance, production, collaboration, they're just so cool. I've seen Hamilton 5 times. It's the gold standard. I've been told by gay friends that it's like the hetero blue pill into musicals. It's like the basic bitch musical for hetero guys, and I'm like, that doesn't mean it's bad.
Oh, that's so great. That's amazing.
So yeah. I love that one. Any of them will get me, really.
And we'll leave on this. What's the best Disney musical type movie, in your opinion?
The best movie or the best soundtrack?
Both.
The best movie is The Lion King.
Okay.
And I'll give you that. The best soundtrack is Aladdin.
Oh, I was just thinking Aladdin. Aladdin was amazing. Yeah. No, I agree.
Yeah. Like all of them have got their quintessential, the one song where it's like, no matter where you are, that song play, like whether it's Hercules, Mulan, whatever, that one song plays, you're like. But Aladdin is like, there's like 7 of them, you can't beat it.
Agreed. Before we go, how can people follow you and keep up to date with you?
I've recently rebranded to at Locascio.comedian on Instagram, purely because you got to sneak comedy comedian into there, otherwise how are they gonna know?
That's such a good full 60.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
So yeah, Locascio, LOCASH.comedian on Instagram. Anthony.Locascio at other places. My name is Anthony Locascio, so you can look me up anywhere. For the Melbourne listeners, I will be doing the Melbourne Comedy Festival in April, between the 7th and the 19th of April at Storyville. If you have any listeners that are in Sydney, Thessaloniki, Athens, Istanbul, or London, I will be in those places after Melbourne.
And America soon as well.
And America in October. I mean, the only thing that could stop it from happening is, cataclysmic world events, or for some reason the immigration department deems my application unsuccessful, at which point I do not receive any kind of refund for the 9,000 American dollars that I'm paying for the application. So let's hope that that's not the case. But yeah, it's brutal, man.
I have nothing to say. That is crazy. Thank you. You have a very inspiring story, a great conversationalist. This is brilliant, and I deeply felt it. And yeah, thank you so much.
Right back at you, man. Thank you so much for having me. This was awesome.
I love how Anthony talks about his transformation, not only in his career, but also in his life. Anthony talks about something that we've all had in our lives, focusing too much on the future instead of enjoying the moment. He mentions how he was achieving his dreams, but wasn't able to fully appreciate those achievements. His mindset shift is inspiring because it reminds us to take a step back, reflect, and realize that often we've done a lot and achieved a lot, often more than we give ourselves credit for. Anthony reminds us the importance of enjoying the moment, no matter the size. I think this is really important because in society, we can think it's all about moving on to the next big thing, but Anthony gives us permission to soak in the moment, stay in the present, and not worry about tomorrow. So I'll leave you with this epic quote. To live each moment is to succeed. Corita, Kent. Thank you for listening to the Funny in Failure podcast, exploring the deeper side of comedy and life.